And a watchdog group is calling on the Prime Minister to reenact the PM Code of Ethics for ministers and their staff. Duff Conacher is the co-founder of Democracy Watch, a nonprofit and nonpartisan citizen advocacy group. And Duff is actually testifying before the Ethics Committee on this Wednesday. Duff, good to speak with you.
Good to talk with you as well. Thanks.
First, maybe give us an idea of why you feel it's important the Prime Minister's Code of Ethics is reenacted.
Well, there's a law called the Conflict of Interest Act, but then there's also a code. And a lot of the key rules are in the code, and they really should be in the law. But what happened was when Prime Minister Harper made it into a law about 20 years ago, he put these rules into a code and essentially said, oh, I'll enforce that. But the Ethics Commissioner considers that the code is required to be followed by cabinet ministers and other top government officials and cabinet staff. And what is happening right now is Prime Minister Carney became the new Liberal Prime Minister, and the code he has up on his website is from 2015 and signed by Justin Trudeau. And so this raises the question about whether he's planning to cancel that code or weaken it. I mean, why has he not reenacted it in his own name and sent his own message to all his ministers and top government officials that they have to follow these very strict and strong rules in this code and not just comply with the very weak and loophole-filled rules that are in the federal government ethics law?
You know, this is interesting because Carney himself has come under some heat for conflict of interest. I'm sure that's some of your concern here.
Very much so, because while the code has a strong rule that says you can't be even in the appearance of a conflict of interest, the law has a huge loophole that says as long as you're dealing with something that applies generally, and 99% of the decisions the cabinet ministers make and the prime minister makes apply generally because they change general laws, they set up general taxes that apply to lots of people, subsidies, tax credits, those kinds of things, spending programs. They're all very general. And what the law says is you can't be in a conflict of interest if you're dealing with a matter that applies generally. And that's a giant loophole. It means that the federal ethics law does not apply 99% of the time to the decisions and actions of the prime minister and cabinet ministers and other top government officials. And so it really should be called the almost impossible to be in a conflict of interest act. And that's very serious. And that's why we need this code enacted, because it has stronger rules and stronger ethical standards that would apply to the prime minister and his many financial conflicts of interest and other cabinet ministers as well.
Are you able to point to any, specifics that these loopholes have enabled you're concerned about?
Well, Prime Minister Carney has already participated in decisions that affect Brookfield, this huge conglomerate company which he was on the board of and owns stock options in. So he has shares, investments in this huge company that affects 103 other companies, according to the statement that he set up with the Ethics Commissioner. And then he also has financial investments in 550 other companies. And so pretty much every time Mark Carney makes a decision that affects business or participates in any discussion about a matter that would affect business, he's in a financial conflict of interest. But the Act says he's allowed to do that as long as what he's talking about applies generally. And again, 99% of what they would be talking about would be about changing a general law, a general tax. And so the law essentially exempts him from this financial conflict of interest, even though he has it. And that's a very dangerous situation. It essentially allows him to do what we've seen Donald Trump do on the stage, which is profit from his own position as prime minister by making decisions that'll help all the companies he's invested in, Brookfield especially, and then their share prices go up and his investment value of his investments goes up. So that's how wide open it is. It's the sad joke of a law, and we need the law loopholes closed. And we need the code reenacted by Carney so that very strong and strict rules apply that ensure ethical government decision makings and ensure that cabinet ministers can't and the prime minister can't profit from their own decisions.
Well, we know you will be making this case before the Ethics Committee on Wednesday. Duff, I want to thank you so much for your time. It was great speaking with you.
Thank you. I'll keep you updated. There's a dozen other loopholes in the law that need to be closed, and I'll keep you updated as the committee continues its review.
Sounds good. Looking forward to touching base again.